Okay, people. So I am joined today, right? First conversation of the new year. And we have got Armando Gutierrez stopping by to talk about his new film, Bezos. And interesting fact, people, right? So back in oh my days, when would this have been? 2020, yes, because it was the start of COVID. So in 2020, we spoke to Otasia Abbott, if you remember, who wrote and directed a New York Christmas Wedding, which was great. We really enjoyed that. Armando here was the executive producer of that film. So, Armando, thank you for stopping by.
No,
Really
thanks,
appreciate
Kevin.
it.
Thanks for having me, and I'm glad you saw New Year Christmas Wedding as well.
I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed, yeah, because I watched it and then I just reached out to Atosia on I think Instagram. And yeah, he was kind enough to stop by and give me his time. And yeah, it was great. Because I think a lot of those Christmas films are just a little bit hokey. You know what I mean? And just when you look at kind of a rom-com, it's not really realistic, right? So I enjoy the ones that actually kind of really show real relationships and interactions. And that's what I thought that film did very well. So yeah, it was really it was nice to watch it. Nice
Oh,
to
well,
watch it.
well, great, great. Well, I appreciate it, Kevin, and I heard you saw the Bezos movie.
I did indeed. I did indeed. Which because I had no real knowledge of Bezos other than he's one of the richest dudes in the world. You know what I mean? He started Amazon, was in the garage like a lot of those, big organizations seem to start out at, and he went into space. That's basically what I knew about old Jeff. But so this was really interesting, right? Now,
Yeah, I mean, it covers a portion of his life that the vast majority of people don't know about,
mm,
and the fact that he was a Wall Street guy that just stumbled upon a statistic that showed that the internet was growing at over 2,000% a year. Just it was something that stuck with him because nothing grows that fast, and he had never started a business. It wasn't something that he had thought about, um, but his wife really pushed him, and he pitched the idea to his mentor D.E. Shaw, who is very successful Wall Street guy, and you got to think at that point in the world, the internet was just starting. I mean, you're talking about like modems. You're talking about
mm,
very, very, very early years, and so transacting business and being able to actually buy stuff online is not something that the average person was even considering. But he didn't give up. He went, decided to leave his job. Um, with his wife, they went out, tried to raise some money to start what wasn't called Amazon. It had several names before, Cadabra, Relentless. I mean,
yeah.
he was like, oh, I think that's a good name, but
Drum roll, please.
seriously, everybody, I've got it. We're calling it Relentless because we're on a mission to start battles. It's like, so look, there was a lot of discovery, and then creating the technology, because at that point he had to create technology that would allow for a transaction and e-commerce, and then discovering fulfillment. Okay, great. Now I sold the book to somebody across the country. How do I get it to them? How do I get it from the supplier? Oh, wait, the supplier wants you to buy 10 copies. I only sold one.
Mm,
So it's a lot of the growing pains, but he didn't give up, and he was very realistic. He knew that the company was going to lose money for a very long time before it would turn. But when it turned, boy, did it turn.
yeah. Oh, for sure. Like, what what led you to be involved in this film? And like, have you always had an interest in Bezos? Like, was it something that you know what I mean? Because I think there's people that we can look up to, and we could, go, there's some traits that person has that I would like, or I would like to make this business I have as successful as their business in our relative fields, type of thing. So yeah, like, yeah, what, how long have you been interested in Bezos, and what led you to the film, man?
I mean, I've always followed a lot of success stories of these entrepreneurs that started, from zero. And this script that was written by Allison Burnett, who wrote Underworld, a bunch of very good movies, and RV Romero, got my attention because it was an entrepreneurial story. It was the journey. Everyone knows the success, but the journey is what makes it interesting. And
Mm,
and obviously, the fact that he was raised by a Cuban father, like me. So there was a lot of things of the story in the script that caught my attention. And um and look, he had 100 opportunities to quit, and he could have easily quit and nobody would have said anything, because it was getting difficult for him. But the script showed me the arc, the emotion, and to be able to dive into his character and portray him was beautiful. And I think I really enjoyed it. I think he, as a person, evolved from who he was when he started in New York to starting the business and taking the leap, to having struggles, to getting attacked, to really having to toughen up, and then constantly being questioned. Well, you're not making money. Yeah, but we're growing. But you're
mm,
not making money. You're going to run out. Actually, no, we're going to keep growing, and then when we do start becoming profitable, um, we're going to be the size of like some of the top 10 companies in the world. And he saw it. I believe he saw it from the very beginning. It's just he didn't know how he was going to get there, and I think he had to pivot several times. Because I mean, books is such a small percentage of what Amazon is right now. But
well, yeah, it did definitely shifted.
yeah, just a little bit. And funny enough, where they make a lot of their money now is not in e-commerce, in Amazon Web
Mm,
Services, and providing technology to a lot of people, but in logistics. but but I do believe that the movie covers the parts that you're not aware of, the parts that will fire up an entrepreneur to go out there and give it a shot. It's never going to hurt to try once to do something on your own. If you have an idea for a business, look, everybody's had it tough. And if Jeff Bezos had it this tough and struggled, then you can accomplish just about anything. It's amazing. So that's what caught me. I mean, when you see the movie, you understand the fire and ambition that I got when I read that script.
mm. I mean, I think his parents might have been a bit pissed if he had failed.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That was a lot of seed money.
in the 90s, yeah, that's like, I mean, and they say it's our life savings, and
Yeah.
he must have been thinking, shit, if I mess this up, I can never go home. Christmas, Thanksgiving, they're gonna be looking at me like, dude, I
But,
had to
but,
had
but
to sell my house
even,
because of you.
yeah, even the when it was going to become profitable, right? I don't think they might have known that. They might be thinking, okay, so we're giving this money and we'll probably get it back in a few years. It'd be like, wait, 20 years? Right? When we get our money back, Jeff?
Yeah, well, you're gonna get, add several zeros to what you're gonna get back. Um, no, and I mean, and people don't realize, one day, if Amazon ever decides to pay a dividend, just the magnitude of how much money they make now is, it's la la land. I mean, you can't even fathom it. Um and they're still growing at leaps and bounds every year. But no, the story is very powerful. And I think you'll come out of that movie looking at yourself and wondering, do I have any unfulfilled ambitions for starting a business, being an entrepreneur? Like at some point you had that decision. Do I go out and get into the media, start my own show? It's like we've all had that question. I was not planning to be an actor. I was in a completely different world, and but I saw myself being happy acting, and I took a leap, I took a journey, and it's extremely fulfilling. So um, yeah, I just hope you all go out and watch the movie.
Mm. Now, this isn't your first kind of biopic you've been involved in. You wrote and were in like Walk Before Mickey. So, how did that experience differ to this one?
It's They're very similar. Um, Walt Before Mickey was my first movie that we did from beginning to end, and um, I was learning along the way, definitely learning, and it was, but the story was powerful, and I feel like that project, it kept getting blessed all along the way, and Walt, like my co-writer Arthur said, I think halfway through filming, I think Walt wants this movie made. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, just ignore what I said. And I'm like, Arthur, like, what do you mean Walt wants this movie? And uh, and it's crazy because like the first day we were casting Walt Before Mickey, um, everyone's like, oh my God, I didn't know Walt Disney was so broke. I'm like, oh yeah, he was dead broke. And he kept going, and he went to California from Kansas City because he wanted to start fresh, um and his brother was very supportive of him, just like in the Bezos movie, his wife and his parents were very supportive of him.
Hmm.
So I mean, the support mechanism is very crucial to your success. And
Oh, yeah. We've seen it in every kind of version of this story. There's always been at least one person who's like the cheerleader, who's like helping that, with that infrastructure, that scaffolding for the person to be able to do what they need to do.
yeah, no, definitely. And Walt Before Mickey, did great. It was still, I still get messages all the time from people that are moved by it, and it was on Netflix for quite a bit of time, and I knew we were doing something right when we were doing the casting in the very beginning, and one of the first people that came in to audition was John Heder, who played Napoleon Dynamite,
Mm.
and he was, I want to be Walt Disney. I'm like, I mean, first of all, can I get a picture with you? No, I'm kidding. No. It's like, it was like, oh my God, like we're doing something right if we're getting that level of actors excited about this project. And
Mm.
so we were very lucky from the beginning. And then when we found Tom to play Walt, um, it just all fell into place. It was the him and and me. I played Iwerks, which was an animator that worked with Walt from the very beginning, and it just, everyone in the scenes and the casting was like perfect. I was like, my God, this is like exactly what was meant to be. And but yeah, it's very similar because Walt also had those early struggles, and had the rug pulled from him several times. And Jeff, I think, had the same kind of business struggles where some people wanted him to fail, and were putting roadblocks every which way,
Mm.
to slow him down or see if he would just quit. But no, I think it's quite the opposite with him. If you try and stop him, it's going to piss him off, and he's gonna work 6 times harder. And you see that a lot in Elon Musk. Like, don't
Mm.
tell me I can't do it. um, so I think, to be successful, yeah, people are going to tell you, no, no, it doesn't make sense. But if you keep on trucking, it's gonna, you know eventually will turn, and you'll find the path. I do believe that. um and it's usually not where you start. It's usually not where you think will be successful, which is funny.
Mm. Well, yeah, I think to have the mindset to be able to build something, you don't have the quit gene. right? You don't have that part where you go, oh, that didn't work. Guess it's done. Like that's not a thing. You will put in the hours. You will, you know what I mean? You'll work for free, right? You'll do all the things necessary to build that thing. I think we've seen it in Jobs, we've seen it in, Henson, we see Musk, right? Just all of those sorts of people, Rogan, you know what I mean? Like all of these people, Dana White, have that mentality of no, we're putting in this work. And you know what I mean? Sometimes maybe not the bluntness of people, right? But they kind of do the things that a lot of people would do if
Hmm.
they didn't care about perception a lot of the times.
Yeah, I mean, perception.
Oh, just that pesky internet.
Oh, it's
Ah,
okay.
yes.
No, I mean, yeah, the how things are perceived can create fear, and fear is a very powerful, distraction from going after things and chasing ambition. Um, and it's easy to let fear in, and oh well, I can't, I'll fail, I'll talk yourself out of doing things, but you can't let fear get in. I mean, that
Mm,
it's you need to stay on the positive completely, and you need to stay on what you're trying to accomplish, um, and not get distracted. And I think the Walt Before Mickey and Bezos both show that.
yeah. Like, how did you kind of get into the Bezo mindset? Like, how did you kind of inhabit the character? Like, what did you have to read and watch? Because I guess there's a lot of stuff out there, press conferences and probably TED talks and that kind of thing. But yeah, what helped you kind of become Jeff?
Probably his earliest interviews, when he's just a guy wearing a suit, just excited about the internet, excited about his emerging business. Still very, I still think he was somewhat naive in the early years, compared to now he's extremely well read, extremely knowledgeable of just
Mm,
about everything. um, and yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of his footage, a lot of his interviews. I read a lot of the stuff he's written, um, and I think that kind of got me there. Plus, I also studied the locations of where he grew up. Um, kind of the backdrop of his family, his grandfather. Just critical people in his life. His brother, um, his wife. Just you know the hardworking Cuban dad, the mom who was extremely supportive, and yeah, I mean, just every little bit added to me finding the character and his arc, because the Bezos in the beginning of the movie is different than the Bezos at the end of the movie.
yes. I kind of felt early Bezos seemed nicer. You know what I mean? Like, I think just, well, it's difficult, right? Because I think we see certain interactions, and if we had seen similar interactions at the beginning, would he have been the same person type of thing? Because it was just like, there's that, you've got the scene with his wife, and then you've got the scene with about the foundership, which not the best endorsements of him as a decent person. Like business savvy wise, the foundership, you can be like, yeah, no, you get it when it boils down to the, bolts of a conversation and everything like that. But when someone's like helped you so much, you'd be like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. We'll do this thing. You know what I mean? So, but it's interesting because all of those things are part of who someone is.
Well, it's funny that so the character that's portrayed in that specific scene is portrayed by an actor named Nick Friedman, who's also a successful businessman. He started the company called College Hunks, and
Okay, I've heard of that.
it's a very very successful business in the United States, and he had been through similar journeys. Because it's there's no foundation when you're starting a business. There's not like, oh, there's no employee protocol, there's no, oh, there's no HR department. I am the HR department. It's, there's and no, it's a lot of gray area. And I think Nick that's what attracted Nick to that character. I think when he read that, I'm like, oh my God, so I could relate to this. And but I don't want to give away the bits of that story
Yeah.
for the audience, because I want you to watch the movie. But yeah, I mean, I think the struggles are not always external. And when you have a business and you're trying to even just get off the ground, the struggles can be internal, can be the people around you, could be the people out, external, competitors. And I think that's why the script took a good analysis of the internal and external struggles that it took to just get Amazon off the ground. It wasn't just about a good name. It was a lot of other things.
Yeah, the whole naming situation throughout is just like,
yeah, no, and it's funny because I do see a lot of common things in the history of the origins of some big companies. Is they weren't always named what you think. I mean, like Mickey Mouse was not named Mickey Mouse. They were going to name him Mortimer. And Tesla was not named Tesla. Elon Musk went out and bought that name and said, okay, we'll call it Tesla. So I think if Bezos would have gone live calling it Cadabra, I don't think it would have come across how it did. So just things like that you're like, man, name is extremely important. The team is very important, but the name is also very important.
Yeah, there's a lot involved, which was one interesting thing, because it did seem like there was an idea, but not necessarily a fully fleshed plan.
No.
Right? Which are just like, why I could understand why his mentor was just like, I know, because it was just like, if you're not coming with a proper framework, how can someone really back you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you got to think his mentor was already extremely wealthy, extremely successful. And the wealthier you get, the more risk averse you become.
Yes.
So I think it was 50% risk and 50% I don't want to lose Bezos from my company, because if he goes out to try this pet project, he may not come back.
Yeah.
And he didn't realize by not supporting him just cemented him leaving. But I think history would have been very different if he would have invested in Bezos and Amazon, or Cadabra at the time. I think it would have been very different. And I think the wealth spectra there would have been very different. I think Bezos would have been extremely wealthy anyways. But who knows? I mean, who knows if it would have been the same thing,
Well, yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Because adversity can create, huge things, right? And if there wasn't that, would it be the same? Right? It's like when you're building muscle, you're kind of tearing muscle, and when it heals, it's getting stronger. Right? Which is kind of that thing. It's like you go through something crazy, which then makes you go, you know what? Nah, that can't happen again. Or I'm not going to put myself in that situation again. Right?
Yeah.
I need to be here. I need to do this. I should put that in place. Right? And so it's those things that without them, would he have pushed, Cadabra to be what it is today. You'd be like, I don't know, right? It's intriguing in that respect, but it kind of, these sorts of things make sense when you see where someone has now got to. You'd be like, okay, so these were the things that kind of pushed you into that, like made you have that drive to become this thing.
Exactly. And that is a common thread I've seen in a lot of startup stories, that the journey, the struggles, change the fiber of who you are, and that formula, whatever it does become, is what was necessary to succeed. And I do think that there is a common thread with a lot of the entrepreneurial stories that I've seen, because most of them don't start out, the way they end up, and their personalities change a little bit. They're all dreamers. They're all dreaming of something, whether it's a big enterprise or a movie. James Cameron thinking of the Avatar world. Like a lot of these successful people are dreamers of something, and it just makes you think. Like if you go back to when George Lucas was crafting up Star Wars, I'm sure people are like, explain this to me again. So a space opera, so it's happening in space, and this character, he's a Jedi, and you would have been like, but now that you actually can see what he was visualizing, you're like, yes, I love it.
Yeah. Well, so many people lost their jobs because they didn't see it, right? And be like, you know what? You can have the advertising, the merchandising. We don't need that. You can have that. It was just like that person, boy, it didn't go well for them.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean we don't own the figurines? No, he got to keep that. You didn't want it.
Yeah.
I didn't want. Like, just imagine that conversation.
Oh my God. Yeah, and I think a few of the actors took like deals to be like, yeah, you give me money on the back end. Yeah, they took the deals. So, what I mean, I'll take money later. Don't have to pay me as much upfront type of thing, which worked out very well for them as well. So there is that level of risk with certain things that some people seem to be able to, see the opportunities. Some people can't necessarily, or just don't want to take the risk.
Yeah, no, and at that time it was very, very risky. If you would have asked them for the same deal on the second Star Wars, it'd be like, not gonna happen. But no, if you go back, a lot of actors and directors and producers have taken risks in movies that were not expected to succeed, but did succeed. So I have seen that. I've seen some people that had a lot of struggles to make a movie, whether financial or just getting the right actors, and then when the movie comes out and starts winning trophies, everyone's like, whoa. But that's the journey. I mean, that's the journey for all of us. That's, we're all trying to succeed in our own little worlds, and the path is what makes it interesting. So
Yeah. No, I think definitely, right? Because I think you learn so much on that journey. I mean, like, I imagine, as you said, like Walk Before Mickey was the first thing where you from beginning to end. So, that it's probably difficult, but then the things you learn, help on the next project and help give you the insight to do more things further on. Be like, oh, I really enjoyed writing, or I enjoyed the producing, or these are the elements that I actually want to put my time into, or okay, so I need this amount of time to do that process, right? Because last time we were cutting it real thin, so it's those sorts of things that you learn, and you be like, okay, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to be.
Right. No, and it's funny because Kwa Le, the director of Bezos, is also the director of Walk Before Mickey. So we would joke around like, man, things, we've come a long way. It's like, because everything starts flowing, and creatively and on the business side with producing a movie. But no, I mean, I'm glad you got to see it, Kevin, and we're here for you, and I hope everyone watching and listening goes out and sees it, and yeah, thank you for everything. And if you guys have any questions, I'm on Instagram. You can reach out to me, and I'm happy to communicate with everybody.
Well, no, I think there's gonna be that interest because it's like there's certain people that are kind of just in the zeitgeist, as it were, right? They're involved in so much stuff that we do. And I think so many people buy things from Amazon,
Yep.
right? And even if you're not buying things on Amazon, right? It's because you know, I've got bad eyesight. So reading books, that's, a big issue. But I've been a member of Audible for years. I love Audible. Amazon own Audible, right? Like I read a lot of comic books. They now own Comixology, right? And then they've got, well, they just brought MGM, which was
Yeah,
just
James
like
Bond. I mean,
shit.
IMDb, Whole Foods. I mean, it's no, they're rapidly expanding. They're always looking for things that plug into what they're doing, and yeah, I mean that's why I hope that a lot of people have an interest in seeing where it all began.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think yeah, you are just kind of like, yo, how did this become this? And then I think also it's just like, look, whatever you do, right? Whether it's you're just in your 9 to 5 job or you've got a business that you're trying to build, right? You might be like, well, I'm not trying to be Amazon, but how did they get to here? Because it's always interesting seeing that because there's bits that you can take and utilize in your journey. Or you look at a CEO, right? An entrepreneur and think, how did they become successful? I'd really like to know because, is there things that I could be doing? Is there things I'm not doing? Like, do I need to pick up new skills? So, watching these sorts of, journeys, they're roadmaps as they were. You know what
Yep.
I mean? It's this unique thing that the, internet has given us because, I think back in the day, there was only so much stuff out there, so many films and TV. But now it's opened the door. So there's more opportunities for people to tell these great stories, right?
Mhm.
So now we can see these people more and we can get those insights. So I think it's just like this is just another addition to that arsenal of information that is out there. So it's great.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the vote of confidence, and I hope your audience will enjoy the movie and learn something from it. So
No, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they definitely will. I mean, what surprised you the most about like this whole journey? From what you may have known before the project to making the project, like the biggest kind of revelation about Bezos and the Amazon journey.
I mean, everybody knows who. I mean, the vast majority of people know who he is or recognize the name, but people did not know that. First of all, the big one is people did not know Amazon was not called Amazon.
Yeah,
I think
I definitely did not know that. So that
that
was
was. I mean, even some Amazon employees didn't know, and but the universal appeal has been interesting. It's oh, I mean that's I mean, I want to know about his struggles. That's interesting. I mean, um what how involved were his parents? How involved was his wife? Very involved. She was there from the beginning. I mean, like it's just things. uh, how ambitious was he? I think he was ambitious, but I think he got way more ambitious as the thing took off.
Mm.
And he's still a dreamer. He's still a dreamer now. Look, he's going to space. He's doing
Yeah.
things that you know that as a kid he must have thought, oh my god, it'd be so cool to fly in a ship. And um,
Well,
so
he
yeah, I mean,
bought the Expanse off of Sci-Fi, didn't he? Remember, Sci-Fi Channel cancelled it. He loved the show, so he's just like, fuck it, we'll make it, which is insane, right? You imagine that your favorite thing ends, and you just be like, all right, I'll finance it. That's no problem.
well, I mean, the thing is, if you had over 100 billion or 150, whatever the billions it is, and you really wanted something like a soda that you've had every day and it gets canceled, you'd find a way, Kevin. You'd be like, I mean, I guess I could just manufacture it for myself. So it's when money is no object, and there's you have the ability to go after things that you really want.
Yeah, yeah. Let me ask you one thing, Armando, because like you're also a producer on the film, right?
Yep.
Now, what does that entail, and how tricky is that, as well as being the star?
Yeah, I mean, it's wearing a bunch of different hats. I think this one I was very, very. I'm in almost every scene, so it's a different level of versus on some prior movies. I was in every third or fourth scene, so I had the ability to be producer versus actor, pretty clearly. And sometimes I'd be in character, and I would notice something wrong with something on the production, and I'd be like, okay, I can't, don't do it, Armando, don't do it. And then I'd call one of the other producers, like, like whisper whatever it is, and then they would do it. I'm like, okay, I think that's a better process right now, because I don't want to like get out of the Bezos mode to jump into the real life at that moment. But that was only the first couple days. I think after a couple days that I was just strictly in Bezos, I was I was going to Starbucks as Bezos. It was like, I remember walking around. We were filming at a college campus, and I wanted coffee, and I wanted hot coffee, and I was wearing I was bald, and I decided, I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go to Starbucks as Jeff Bezos. And it was, people were like, oh my god, how long have you been like that with your hair? And like, but I played along, and I'm like, no, this is all flowing. It makes sense now. And because he when he started his company, he had a full head of hair.
Yeah.
Like he had hair, and whether it was stress or whatever, it's because some people are like, wait, but I thought Jeff Bezos was bald. I go, he wasn't always bald. But no, I was able to disconnect, to focus on the acting when I needed to. And I think if it would have been my first movie, it would have been much more difficult. But I kind of have an idea of how things start flowing, and it's always the first or second day of production that are the most difficult, because everyone's getting to know each other, kind of seeing everyone's like timing on things. Okay, how long is this going to take? X minute of time. By day 2, 3, 4, you kind of know everybody, and have a good feel of how things are going to move. But also the same thing happens with the actors, because if you're reading cold against somebody, and I don't know how your reactions are, Kevin, or if you internalize them, if it's in your eyes, if it's your physical mannerisms, because some actors do different things. But after a couple of days of working with somebody, you kind of figure them out, and you can read them and respond against them. So so I think, yeah, I think that finding that groove of the balance of actor, producer, was fun on this one, definitely. But it also helps having a great team, because having a great team of producers that are there backing you up, that are also very creative, helps a lot, because you cannot, one person cannot make a movie. You need a team,
Yeah.
no question about it. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And how did you kind of formulate the relationships with the rest of the cast? Because you know what I mean, like with Mrs. Bezos, right? You're in a lot of scenes together and you're doing all of this stuff, and you have to show that, that different aspects of the relationship all the way through. So, like, do you spend time before shooting to talk and hang out to kind of formulate that kind of that bond? Is it similar with the rest of the cast? Like, how was all of that?
Well, Qua, the director, and some of the other producers, they took everybody out to dinner. So we got to talk and meet. And I mean, the actress that portrays Mackenzie, is amazing. She is like on point with acting. I mean, she got into character. She was Mackenzie in the movie, and um, so I think that obviously makes the level of performance, better for everybody around her. So yeah, I think it was, Ed Arenas that did casting, and just they did such a good job finding the right people for every role. Um, yeah, I mean, Marcus Lemonis that plays D.E. Shaw, he was on point. It was just like perfect casting. And Emilio Stefan that plays Miguel Bezos's dad,
Mm.
was on point. It was like, it's just, you'll see. Yeah, I mean, the audience will see when they watch it. They're going to be like, wow, that's like on the money there.
Yeah, no, there was Kevin Sorbo was
He
le-
plays Leonard. He
yeah,
plays Leonard Riggio, the founder of Barnes and Noble.
which I mean, it's interesting to see Sorbo in things now, to like when you think of those early days when you saw him as Hercules, and
Yep.
back then. But yeah, definitely an interesting transformation there.
Oh yeah. No, and he also had a fun character in this one. So yeah, so I think
Yeah.
he grabbed that one. He's a great actor. He knows how to act, and he jumped on that role, and you'll see him. I mean, there's some very intense scenes between him and Bezos.
Mm.
I don't want to get too into it, but you'll see.
The funny thing about all of that as well, it is kind of Bezos became a little bit like him, and also because I believe, didn't Amazon open up a brick and mortar bookstore?
I mean, Amazon has a lot of brick and mortars now. I mean, but I think he was quick to identify that, you know there what was working then will change.
Yeah,
And it's kind of like, if a titan of today that's the number one in an industry meets the guy who's 30 years younger, who has the clear vision of what that industry will be 20 years from now. There's no guarantee they're going to understand each other.
mm.
And and um, I mean, if Henry Ford met Elon Musk, like that's how I like envision it. Like, yes, they would both understand quickly that they are titans and industry builders, but um, would it be a different output? I don't know. I mean, and I think that was the interesting part with when Leonard Riggio's is meeting Bezos. It's like, it's two different ideas of what the industry will be.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I think we've been able to see it several times in our generation. Because
Yeah.
when you look back in the day with like Tower Records, HMV, they were huge,
Yep.
and you'd think they're never go bust. And they just didn't get like the internet and how people were consuming music. But iTunes, you know what I mean? Apple had that and it blew up. Right. And
Yeah.
it's just we see
Blockbuster.
these situations, you know, it's interesting.
No, look at Blockbuster. Blockbuster Video.
Yeah.
And then this this guy Reed Hastings comes along with an idea for a whole nother way to get movies to people's homes. And he's Reed is a genius. He quickly identified how the world was pivoting to more convenience driven.
Mm.
And then immediately was pivoting to streaming.
Yeah.
And Blockbuster years later decides to follow what Netflix did. But
Yeah.
it was too late. I mean, the party already began. And by that, obviously we're all big fans of Netflix. And but if you look at the opportunities that Blockbuster had, to have owned Netflix, to have been Netflix,
Mm.
and they just didn't evolve fast enough, or were open to evolution. And I mean, we all got to be open to evolution in whatever we do. And I'm sure when you started, Kevin, it wasn't what it is now. I mean, now you've got so many ways to put the content out versus when you started. You were just happy to start properly. And
Yeah.
it's like me, the first movie, I was like, I was just happy somebody watched the DVD. And now it's like, now DVDs aren't a thing anymore. It's like, yeah, they're still sold in some stores, but no, it's all digital, it's all streaming.
Mm.
It's what movies playing on the airplane, like. So the world just keeps evolving. And yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of just walking every day through life.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because well, I think the original company was Love Movies, right? And Amazon bought them, right? Which then became Prime Video. So it's just like, yeah, there was opportunities for Blockbuster, right? People were making moves. There was companies doing things that weren't there at the start, but they were able to pivot. But Blockbuster were just like, no, we're good.
Let me
And
tell you. So something I learned from, she was a university president, and she said something, and this was, I'm telling you, this must have been 2005 when she said this. Who's the disruptor in the room?
yes.
And isn't that the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the disruptor in the room? Who's the disruptor in an industry? Who's the one that has the idea that could really change everything? And are they going to follow through? Because great, you might have the idea, I want electric engines on planes, but actually following through and executing on that, just so. But I'll never forget that. Who is the disruptor in this room? And I'm just like, hmm?
Yeah, because we've seen, like, I remember mini discs, right? That was that wasn't a bad idea. That was better. That I thought was better than a CD, right? Because you could have so much more music on a mini disc than you could have on a CD.
Yep.
But it was one of those Betamax situations where Sony didn't open up to other organizations utilizing the tech, and people quickly, and it was so quick to like MP3 then suddenly became the thing.
Yeah. No, and it's going to evolve again. I mean,
Mm.
everything's going to keep evolving. Like just how video is formatted, how just everything's going to keep, because people want a higher quality, faster, that takes less space, that the battery doesn't run out as fast. I mean, it's just like,
Yes.
it's going to keep evolving. I mean, it's no, just look at your iPhones, look at your computers, look at everything. It just keeps advancing. It's not going to stop. And yeah, I mean, but no, Kevin, thank you so much for having me on the show. I appreciate it, and happy to be on whenever you want to invite me.
Yeah, man. Like, hey, when your next project is ready, yeah, just let me know and we can have a conversation. Where can people follow you so they can keep up to date of what's happening in the world of Armando?
Yeah, just I'm on Instagram. You can look me up, but just search for Armando Gutierrez, and yeah, I mean, if you want to watch Bezos, it comes out on Tuesday on Apple iTunes and Google Play and Amazon.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, you're not gonna find it on barnesandnoble.com. You know what I mean?
That honestly, that would be funny if I log in one day and I see Barnes and Noble selling the movie. I would probably screenshot it and send it to you. I'd be like, "Holy shit!" No, a friend of mine sent it to me the other day. Like, Armando, the movie's for sale on BestBuy.com. I'm like, seriously, send this to me. This is awesome.
Oh man. And do you have another project like in the pipelines to go?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to follow up to something like this. So you got to, like we've been searching for the right thing, but yeah, I mean, I'm in between doing a fantasy movie or a holiday movie, but
Ah,
but obviously, with movies, a lot of things got to fall into place for them to happen.
mm.
And but yeah, no, I'll keep you posted on what the next one when the next one starts, so you could be right there with us.
Outstanding, man. Outstanding. Well, yeah, no, I really appreciate your time. Yeah, it was real interesting to watch what you did with Bezos, man. It was fascinating. Yeah, I was definitely intrigued all the way through to see you inhabit that character. Well, not even that person. Yeah, the character. He's a real person, right? And I think you did it a lot of justice. So, man, yeah, thank you for what I mean, bringing us this, and obviously a New York Christmas wedding. You know what I mean? But
Well,
so yeah, really appreciate your time, man. Thank you.
no, thank you, Kevin, and hope you have a great rest of the day. And thank you to all the fans for watching, Kevin. Appreciate it.
All right, man. So people, in the episode information, you will find, links, all of Armando's socials. So go follow Armando, go watch the film. And yeah, great first interview of the year, man. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it, and have a great day, and talk to you soon.
All right, you too, man.
Bye, guys.
Bye.